And we're going to go here and let's just select setup one. So we have one setup, and you see the triad here. So I just wanted to go through these tool paths here for 2 axes. We got a facing on the top, drilling. We got profiling. If you look at this like that, we got profiling. This is very interesting here. It's a facing operation, but we're actually facing a pocket. So it's smart enough to know that this is a pocket, yeah, but it's open on this side. So it can be a face. So it understands that it has to adhere to this perimeter, but it can extend out past the open area. If you turn that on, you'll see that. That's pretty cool. What else we got here? We got pocketing here. And what we did a little bit different here is we created a boundary that actually stuck out a little bit so that the tool cleared that opening. So we treated that as a pocket by just adjusting the actual geometry itself. And then we used a profiling to clean up the sidewalls. What's interesting about this is that the entry and exit motions here, you can adjust those independently. So we have them adjusted so that it's the entry and the exit, you have an entry and then you have an engagement, or you have an exit and a retract. You can adjust those. We adjust them so it's just straight out, and straight up. So it cleans up those sidewalls for you all the way out. Let's see what else we got. This is an interesting one here. That is a profiling operation. So you're thinking to yourself, profiling, why did it just follow the curve? Well, what we're doing there, if you look at it, we're telling I want a cut width of 10. This is in millimeters. So I want a cut width of 10 millimeters. I want to step over 4. So what it's doing is it's stepping over based on the perimeter, okay, and stopping at the perimeter. So basically it's filling the whole area up. Regardless of what this total width and the step over is, it's not going to violate the perimeter, okay? So what it's doing is it's doing a nice clearing operation based on a profiling operation, okay? So what you're seeing here is that the operation types in RhinoCAM are very versatile. You can use them for a lot of different things in a lot of different ways, okay? And as you get more understanding of the product, you'll get to understand all those nuances that really makes your job a lot easier. So let's just go down real quick. Drilling, we have some slotting. You'll see that we have the trochordal high-speed cut pattern in the slots. And we have another, we have a slot. This time we just used a pocketing operation. We ramped in and just did a pocket. We got some more drilling, center drilling. We got some more pocketing. We got some step profiling, which we're stepping over. Here, we're stepping over. And again, we're stepping over here. Okay, that just gives you an idea. This part was actually a lot more operations, but we clipped it down to not load up the computer too much. As you can see, there's a whole bottom side with all kinds of complicated areas that you need to machine. And 2026, we added a really neat operation, automatic deburring. So now you don't have to get your deburring knife manually and have to go over these edges like you're peeling a potato, you know, to break these edges to make them smooth. So now we added the deburring operation, something like a chamfering, but you don't have to have a chamfer mill. You can just use a standard ball mill. So we have a ball mill, and the tool this operation is just calculating automatically. You can just set to automatic. It'll calculate where that ball mill can go. Okay. If you just look at this, let's look at it real quick since we got time. So you'll see we have the ball mill selected for our tool, and we're just doing it based on a height. So I want it to go down 0.2, this is millimeters. So I want it to break it by 0.2 depth. Okay. So it's figuring it out, and you'll see there's nothing. Actually, I did select some flat areas here. If you select areas, those are the only areas that it'll deburr. If you don't select anything, it'll try to deburr everywhere you can. Okay. So in this particular case, it was probably deburring in some little areas that was just maybe touched off a little bit, and we didn't want to do that. With a part less complex, that's just a pocket or some basic pockets, it'll figure those all out for you. In this more complex part, we decided to select the areas that we want to deburr. So that's kind of neat. I wanted to go back and show you that.
We're done with time. Anything else you want to do some post-processing or talk a little bit about that?
Okay. And for post-processing here, I just picked it post. We have two types of post. Legacy, meaning this is the standard post-processing that everyone gets, okay? We call it legacy only because we added a new Python programmable post option. That was a couple of versions back. Where you want to talk about that, Joe? You can take a moment to talk about the Python post.
Yeah, so the Python post is basically a completely new architecture that we implemented. It was actually implemented in 2025, but we've enhanced it in 2026 quite a bit. And it's pretty powerful. It's event-driven. So, and because of the power of Python programming language, we can do lots of interesting things in the post. So we're pretty confident we can handle pretty much any machine out there in the field right now. So it's an interesting area that we worked on, and moving forward, that is the area that we will be focusing most of our resources on. So you'll see more posts coming, more Python posts being developed from our end.
Okay, and also, what do the users do if they have or they run into problems and they think they might need it?
Yeah, so Python posts are obviously complicated. The legacy posts are macro driven. So, excuse me, we have a post process generator that's bundled with the product. Users can use it if they are familiar, if they're comfortable, they can use it and set up their own posts. But if you need any additional help on the post processors, we can. If it's something simple, we can do it as part of your support maintenance agreement. But if it's something that we need to really get in and start a project, it'll be a separate cost item. Our sales department can give you the information regarding the costs, and it'll depend on the machine complexity that you have. So you can talk to us about that.
Okay, what I did there is I just selected, I had the legacy post. This is the macro driven post, our post process generator. I just picked edit next to Haas. And this is the post process generator. So you have, as Joe mentioned, it's macro driven. You have all these macros in there for different types of areas of the code. For instance, a tool change, you got macros for, how is the G code going to be formatted when it does a tool change, et cetera. And you can work through all of these operation types, all kinds of drilling cycles, boring, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.